So, anybody can come over there? What that song was? Eye of the Tiger. There you go. When I heard that they're going to play music, I'm like, man, you got to play that. All right. So Sangram here. I'm not going to go through my bio, and quite frankly, I've never done a 10, 11-minute talk. So what I did is I didn't change a single thing. I'm just going to talk fast. And hopefully at the end of it, you're like, man, this person had a ton of slides or some good slides, but at least you would hear a ton of words in the next 11 minutes. All right? Not that I've been asked to slow down. I'm actually a very fast talker, so this is going to be bad. All right, so how to build a movement, and this is something that I learned as part of my own journey when I started Terminus. It's really hard to break through, and we talk about brand and culture right now, and I was like, man, that's like the perfect segue for this, is at the end of the day, if people believe in what you do, if they're ambassadors, as we heard, then man, that's going to really make everything really, really cool, because that's what brand culture really drives. So before I get into the depth of this presentation, these are the 5 books that I feel every B2B marketer or B2C marketing salespeople should read. They are incredibly amazing books when it comes to learning and understanding. So if you get nothing out of my presentation, at least I gave you recommendations from your books. All right? So that's my son Krish. He's like literally a month ago, he was standing outside and he wants to play. And as you can see, he has football in his hand, basketball shorts, Terminus socks, he thinks they are football socks, and tennis shoes. And he says, Papa, let's play. And I'm like, what game are we going to play? And he said, Papa, anything is possible. So I want to be like him when I grow up, because that's just the way we think. We need to think, we need to live in our lives. So when I think about everything that we're trying to do as marketing and sales, we are the crazy ones. We are the ones who are trying to do some incredible things out there, and people know and talk about us as those crazy marketers. But in fact, what we want to do is this. We want every one of our customers to think about us when they're in their shower. I know that sounds creepy, but it really, really matters, because you think about the brands that you love, you only know 2 or 3 brands for any type of, like, let's pick up shoes, for example, right? How many brands do you know of shoes? Just spit it out. 1, 2, 3, yeah, there you go, like not many. And at 50, then, oh my goodness, we need somebody actually has Google, so that's awesome. So let's talk about the 7 lessons that I believe are incredibly powerful that we learned, and these are all the ones that we just stumbled upon as we went through. Number 1, nobody gives a shit about your product. I mean, just this is the truth. They care about their problem, their challenge, their issues. So if we can figure out what it is that we're trying to solve, that would be amazing. So for example, in our case, we said the problem was really cool, and we're not the one who's going to say what the problem is. We're going to use an analyst firm to talk about it. And it was very clear, less than 1% of the leads turn into customers. Well, that's a problem for your CEO and CFO and marketing organization. No wonder marketing jobs change so fast, right? Because that's a real problem. So when you are clear about the problem, you start that empathy language on, because you're not talking about your product or a solution. Anybody familiar with this funnel? A lot of you guys are probably using it in your organization, which is broad at the top, narrow at the bottom. Let's just put as much crap in the top, and guess what? Get more crap at the bottom. But in reality, that is the challenge that most marketing and sales organizations have. So we said, we got to change that. That brings me to number 2. What is the compelling vision that supports the brand, that supports the culture, that everybody can get together, and more importantly, your customers or your future customers will come along with you. So we said, well, let's just challenge the status quo. And because we're in the more B2B world, we're saying, what is the status quo in B2B that we can change? And we think about the traditional funnel as the arch enemy. So we literally flipped it. We called it Flip My Funnel. You can go check it out on flipmyfunnel.com. It's a community that is purely dedicated to help marketing and salespeople learn about how to do amazing things in marketing and sales without following the beaten path. And there are 10,000 plus people who are not even customers of Terminus, part of that community. And we do conference all over the country just talking about how to change the way marketing and sales works. People come from all different places. A lot of them don't even know it's a Terminus conference. But it's a conference where we want to bring the people who care about the change. So here's the third one. Engage influencers. How many of you guys spend time not only with your internal folks and customers, but influencers in the marketplace that change the game? Anybody? Few of you guys? And that's insanely important. I feel like that was one of those secrets that I didn't really know from marketing and sales. I thought it was all about just us and our customers. But no, you're us, the people in the company, but also the customers listen to the people out there in the marketplace and they follow. There's tribes. There's a reason why they're called influencers. So having them was great. So we just went out and said, we're going to build conferences and events out there, but guess what? We're never going to be the one doing the keynote about our product. We're going to just be out there and having all these influencers come and talk about the challenges in marketing and sales. So every single conference that we do, we have all these speakers coming, analysts, marketing, sales professionals. We literally looked at the top 50 marketing and sales professionals and said, great, who can we bring? And we started creating videos for them, say that, hey, really we don't know each other, but it'd be awesome if you would come and speak at this conference. And they showed up, they spoke. And now we have thousands of people who attend some of those conferences. The point being, these people have tribes. They can bring your future customers to a place where you and we probably cannot do it by ourselves. And it was a really amazing and humbling lesson to go through. The other part, when it comes to what happens with all the other companies. Now, this is a conference where a lot of companies are probably competing with each other. And it's amazing to see everybody at the same place. We felt like, well, we could do the same thing. It doesn't have to be another organization that has to do that. So we just flipped my funnel saying, we're going to be vendor agnostic. We're going to do this the way companies want to be and the customers and future customers want to be. So we literally put a stack together, and I know it's an art chart, but all the companies that are part of this whole account-based marketing movement, we said, why don't you just come all together and let's just do these conferences, these events, these community building activities together. And that was the best thing our customers could have asked for. All right, number 5. This is the part where we just wrote and talked about it so much that Wiley's came to us and said, why don't you write a book on this topic? And ended up writing a book, which again, as a startup company, that is not something you think about. That's not on the list of to-do list, write a book. It's not, it's a retirement plan. So to go ahead and do a book while you're doing the company is crazy. But we ended up doing that because we had the community looking for us to create that kind of information. Beyond that, we started a daily podcast. Again, when you think about creating a movement is not made up of you and your company. It is made up of all the people in your community. So a daily podcast that essentially can get all these people together can change the way people look at you. So that podcast is now one of the top 50 podcasts in the business category, which means that a lot more people, thousands of people, are listening to a podcast that we are just talking about how marketing and sales needs to change. Oh, this is my favorite part. Now, events are amazing, and events are hard to do, as we know. And here's what we did. At one of the first events, we hired a bunch of people to say, why don't you act as protesters and go outside and go out and say leads are not good and stuff like that. And there were like police and stuff like that. So it made a lot of media news, which was amazing for us to even have for the first conference. But the next time, we had a gospel choir come in and sing happy birthday to us as we kind of went on the journey of multiple conferences. And people remember that. They talk about that as something that they want to be part of. Even further, we said, you know what, we're about bringing marketing and sales together, so we had dogs and cats come together at the conference. So we let people adopt dogs and cats at our conference, and guess what? People adopted. It's crazy, and somebody named it as a funnel flipper or something like that. So it's crazy what people and brand, you talk about ambassadors, you talk about evangelism. The idea is that can we be in the hearts and minds of people that you're talking to beyond the product that you're trying to sell, because product is a commodity. A community will never become a commodity, and that's the part when it thinks about marketing from heart. So bringing it to the 7th point is like, of course, you got to have a product. Not saying we don't just do it for pure nonprofit, but the idea is that is the byproduct of it. So when I think about bringing all these things together, I look at this as, how do we change the world? Goes back to my kid and saying, what would we change the world? And I feel like it's all about problem market fit, not product market fit. So if you think about it, every organization thinks about, here's my problem that we want to solve, here's the product we want to create, and we want to change the world. But the idea is that, well, you're the only one who cares about your product. Everybody else that you're selling to cares about their problem. So how do we think about that? So here is just a quick framework that I've started to kind of talk about, and a lot of people are starting to think about it as a way to think about marketing beyond the product mindset, because everybody's going to do that. How are you going to differentiate? And if you want to build a community that's more than a commodity, then that's where things change. So find a problem that you want to solve that your customers have. Figure out what that is and be crystal clear about that. No questions asked, everybody's going to be there. Build a community that truly is part of it so that the community feels like they're part of the solution, not just a product. And then you go create a product to change the world. And that to me is a framework where even small companies, doesn't matter what you're doing, can truly change the world that you're trying to change and have an impact on. So with that, I want to finish, and I want to share very quickly one simple thing. When you think about marketing, I learned that in B2B, the value of marketing is defined by sales, purely by sales. If a salesperson says, hey, marketing is doing great, it's good. In B2C, you probably have more control over that. But at the end of the day, your destiny, I feel like, or our destiny as marketers, is controlled by the community. If our community is there, then we'll never be a commodity. Thank you so much.